Life is Strange is back, and so am I. I only have a few points for this trailer, so we're going to try to go through them pretty quickly. Number one symbolism that I've noticed is the owl. But also, I'm not sure if anyone noticed this later on, this little pin is also an owl. And I can't remember, but I think in Life is Strange 1, I think if you look carefully, there might be an owl in the barn before you find the red room. But I think there's an owl in there too, and I don't know if there was ever a confirmed symbolism on the owl for Life is Strange. What's interesting though is the owl is now seeming to potentially represent Max, unless we find out that the owl pin was given to her, maybe by Chloe. I don't know. That could be our only sign of Chloe. Some people were theorizing that the owl could potentially be a symbolism for Chloe. It looks like this place is like happening somewhere in either a rural version of the US, but I'm just saying somewhere rural. The reason for that is because this type of structural buildings just does not take place in like New York and San Francisco and California. This is the rural places that like are not bougie big cities, so as a result they have like this cute sort of not English infrastructure but like old style infrastructure, and that kind of just is the vibe with some of these little buildings over here and those ones as well. I'm also theorizing potentially Europe, but there's something about it that doesn't seem fully European. I don't know why. First off, I love this text back here that you can see, as well as she seems that she's entering from one dimension to another. I'm assuming yellow is a different dimension, blue is the original dimension, so that's a really cute sort of color aesthetic there. But I like that we're focusing on her ability to jump between timelines. I forget what it's called in Life is Strange 1, but when she can look at a photo and she can jump between from where she took that photo, she can jump in between different bodies of Max's. I like that we're focusing on that, but instead now it can happen without the photo, without having to need a previous point of reference. I think that's like so interesting that her powers are still continuing to like develop without her needing to even like use them all the time. Because in the beginning, she literally states that she promised to never use her powers again after Arcadia. I'm assuming that counts, you know, as the comics being non-canon. I think in comics she does use her powers again to revisit Arcadia. But I like this. I like this new power. I like that we're diving more into it. It's not new, but it's technically new that she's able to go in between two different timelines and jump between them so smoothly as well. I mean, later on when they show her at this crossfield and everything, like she's able to just jump through what seems to be so smoothly. And that's so interesting. Here it is.
And only I can investigate both realities.
And she's there in both points of time. So in this timeline, she's right there. And in this other timeline, right there at that place where it says police line, do not cross. She's there in both point timelines. When she used to travel between bodies, the body of a different Max would be somewhere else entirely. Sometimes her body would be in the same area, but other things would happen. Like when she was in the room, she traveled between time, and then all of a sudden Victoria's dead. And that's obviously a different timeline. She travels again and she's back in the storm, but she's on the beach with Chloe. You know what I'm saying? So like her bodies are in different points, but here she's not. She's in the same point of time, in the same place every single time. Because that would theoretically mean that both versions of that Max in each timeline is now either fully aware of what they are doing, or we're getting rid of the idea and the theory that I had that it's different bodies and it's the same Max each time, which is not possible, by the way. That's not, if you're doing the whole theory of time jumping and there's multiple alternate realities, that's not possible. It's not possible that there's only one version of you that can exist on all timelines. So theoretically, again, you know, based off how all this works, these would be two different versions of Max. Obviously the one that we have from the main game, and then the one that we have in this alternate timeline that's trying to save her friend, or that already has her friend Safi alive. Like let's say the Max with Safi alive and the Max without Safi alive. The Max with Safi dead is in the same walking pattern in like existence and like everything as like Max with Safi alive. So I don't know if they're somehow able to work together and connect together and be like, hey, I understand you're trying to save your friends, so I'm gonna do the same steps, because again, it just doesn't make sense like that. Moving on from that though, the other thing I wanted to talk about here in this moment, when Max freezes up and she's just standing here and Safi has to push her out of the way. I think I talked about how when jumping from one body to the next, how that could potentially fuck up the other version of Max. Like she's just standing here, just thinking. And I wonder if that's Max just thinking because Max is weird, or if that's Max sort of thinking and pausing because she's literally switching bodies, not even processing anything that's going on right now because she's literally transferring from one body to the next.
Still alive. It dangers.
And that's interesting. I don't know. I just love that special. We see the two moons again, which does most likely prove that Max fucks up at some point. If you don't remember, we got two moons when Max goes to the party and she's done a lot of time fucking. So clearly from the two moons that are now, instead of being, I think it was yellow and yellow, it's now red and blue, which is also the same color scheme, by the way. How earlier it was blue and orange for when she travels between timelines, and then the moons are red and blue. And I think that's quite an interesting little thing. I think that's all I have to talk about for this trailer. Yeah, that's kind of all of my theories. And then someone did ask me, and I did reply to them in a comment, but I'll say it again. What do I think about Chloe, and will she return in this game? I have two theories, technically three. They might go with having Chloe in this game, but Max and Chloe drifted apart, but they're still friends, but they just drifted apart in the sense that like Chloe is somewhere else and Max is somewhere else, but they're still besties. But my main theory is that this is like an alternate timeline where Max is not friends with Chloe, and that will be their excuse for why she's not friends with Chloe. It's like, oh, it's an alternate timeline. And the reason why I'm saying alternate twice is because obviously she literally goes between alternate timelines, one where Safi is dead and the other one where Safi is alive. So that's why I'm using an alternate like that. I know that might be a little confusing, but that might be a thing they might try to do. But she just might not exist in Max's life at the moment, and that'll be their excuse though. I can imagine even if they do that, there'll be some clues and hints as to what happened and why that happened. Which is kind of also my second theory, which is just that they finally decided to own up to it, be a big boy, and be like, fuck you, Chloe, and fuck you, you know, Max and Chloe shippers. Chloe fucked up, said something to me, and at one point, Max realized she deserved better, and now she's far away from Chloe. Chloe's far away from her, and Chloe and Max has completely brand new friends, and we don't know what's going on with Chloe because, you know, fuck Chloe. I don't know. I'm kind of leaning towards number two, but maybe not as harsh. Maybe not as harsh as a big fuck you, Chloe fucked up, you know, just not to hurt the fans' feelings, but I can imagine still Max and Chloe are separated. There's something about this Max and her friendships with these people that I feel like Chloe is not a massive part in her life right now. And I feel like this woman, Safi, likely is. She is probably the person that kind of replaced Chloe in her life. And so Safi most likely means a lot to Max. Same with whoever this other person is. I don't know. We obviously don't know his name at the moment. This security faculty guy. Yeah, there's something about this Max just giving off the aura and the vibe that she is no longer friends with Chloe. But I do want to end off on a happy note. Max does not have a ring properly on this finger. So if you want to marry her, now is the time.